Hello, everybody. Welcome back to That 70s Card Show. I'm your host, John Keating, and I thank you for joining me as I take a look back at the cards and the culture of the very colorful 1970s. We'll revisit a more simple time in our hobby by taking a deep dive into the sets and the stats with a generous amount of dad facts sprinkled in. That 70s Card Show is currently sponsored by nobody. If you have a comment or suggestion, I urge you to drop me a line at that 70s card show at gmail.com, on Twitter at 70s card. I can be reached on YouTube at that 70s card show, and of course podcasts pretty much everywhere but North Korea. So this is episode 29, and we're going to talk about the 1975/76 SSPC baseball set. I'm going to be honest with you. I've had a pretty busy weekend. I got home from a long road trip last week. And last week, my son came back from college late last week. So we hadn't seen him in a while. And the weekend rolls in. Did a Mailzilla episode on YouTube. Hopefully you got to watch that and enjoy that as much as I got to enjoy the new additions to my collection. And I've had this idea for this episode for quite a while. And late last week in the mail arrived the SSPC baseball set from the mid-70s. Now we're going to get into a little bit of craziness here in a second because there's a contradiction on what to call this set exactly. And we'll go over that in a few, but 75 or 76 SSPC set is kind of valid for their own reasons. I know Don's Field of Dreams on YouTube did a little blurb about this in his episode. I want to say a week and a half ago or so. So this is for the full set. I'm not going to show you every card. They're all out there to see if you need to see them. So go get one yourself. So I have the full set. And if you look over my shoulder, that's a stack of SSPC baseball right there. So, yeah. So, again, a lot of trepidation on this because it's a monumental set. And it's a very idiosyncratic set. There's a lot of moving parts to this whole story, and I can't cover them all because there's people that have a lot more knowledge about this than I do. But there's politics involved. There's legal ramifications involved, and essentially change the hobby in ways that we may or may not have known. And maybe I'll get into a little bit of that. So we'll see what happens. I want to thank some of the research material here, which was, of course, Beckett OPG, which I subscribe to all the sports. Night Owl Cards. I know Night Owl Cards is a Beckett contributor, I believe, and I follow Night Owl Cards on Twitter. There's a nice article about this set there. Of course, the trading card database, which is often referred to in our hobby by most hobbyists. So it's really an essential reference point of reference for us. And sorry, I'm messing with my camera here. Yeah, so I go to TCDB quite a lot. So good times there. And the baseball cardpedia. It's kind of like Wikipedia with little blurbs about sets and all that stuff. So thank you to those guys. And then there's probably more, but Google led me there. So thank you to Google as well, as if they don't get enough recognition. 1976 SSPC is what I'm going to call this thing. And the reason we call it, it gets confused with 1975, is the copyright on the back of the card clearly states copyrighted 1975. And even that is a little sticky, right? And I'll get into that in a minute here, but TCMA produced this set, Tom Collier and Mike Ehrenstein. I believe, obviously, TCMA is their initials, and then eventually it evolved into the Card Memorabilia Associates. made sets between 72 and 87, maybe more outside of that time frame than I know. A lot of oddball sets, a lot of minor league sets. They also had Collectors Quarterly magazine, and Keith Oberman was involved in them from a very young age. And when I say young age, I mean high school age. And part of this set was tied into that magazine. Blah 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 blah. And it was advertised in that magazine. And some of the samples for this set were originally, I think, included in the magazine or Quarterly Rag, whatever it was. SSPC, they like to say it stands for Sports Stars Publishing Company. So this is the SSPC, brought to you by the people at TCMA. Hopefully we're not that confused yet. So again, I'll read some blurbs here. Sports Stars Publishing Company was a TCMA offshoot that published a magazine called Collectors Quarterly. Obviously edited by Keith Oberman, who we all knew from ESPN and further endeavors. I tried to get Keith Oberman on this show. Hard to believe that he turned me down or didn't even acknowledge my message. So, hey, to each their own. Oberman writes about his experience in his blog. It says, I had written on the backs for the first SSPC set, and another fellow had taken most of the photos for them. Only it turned out he didn't really have any ballpark credentials and was only on the field because he'd been a bat boy and knew all the cops at Shea Stadium, and they just let him sneak in. So this set, that says a lot, that statement, right? So first of all, most of these cards were taken at Shea Stadium, American League and National League. This is a time when Yankee Stadium was being renovated, 74, 75 season. So American League ball was being played at Shea Stadium. And the way the set is photographed is, kind of shows you kind of an opportunist bent, best available light, best available time, all that stuff. So some of the stuff looks like it was taken even after the games at time because it's pretty dark in some of these pictures. So anyway, reading on more here, the cards in the 630 card set measure 2.5 by 3.5. It's referred to as the pure card set issued by TCMA, and it derives its name from the lack of borders, logos, and signatures, which often clutter up the picture area of some baseball sets. It differs from other sets purchased by this company in that it cannot be reissued due to an agreement entered into by the manufacturer. Thus, while not technically a legitimate issue, it is significant because it cannot be reprinted, unlike other collectors' issues. So SSPC got sued by Topps for this set. SSPC had designed this set sort of look like the Bowman set from 1953, which is considered one of the most beautiful sets of baseball cards ever made. And it's interesting that even back in 75, it was considered that because this is essentially a direct ripoff of that. Topps did not like it, took offense, sued SSPC, and they were allowed to, whatever the agreement that was reached, SSPC was allowed to sell out the print run that it had made, which I believe was 10,000 sets or thereabouts. Mail order sets, they weren't sold in packs. I think it was $10.99 for a set plus $4 shipping and handling. I'm all over that if I'm a collector, but who knows back then how many they actually sold. There's been rumors of reprints, including one of the era cards or the era card that's associated with the set. I'll get into that in a second as well. So let's see here. It's I guess we'll talk about the cards themselves because we could talk about maybe I'll talk a little bit about this here. Let me get another piece of paper. Again, a little cautious of doing a podcast on this episode because it's all over the place and there's so much going on. So so let's see here. I'm going to talk about the design in a second, but I want to get all the other stuff here. All right, so I'm going to go back to a little bit of the winter 1975 Collectors Quarterly had a 2-page insert of 18 cards that are the precursor to this set. Again, Topps sued and blocked further publications. After negotiations, SPC was allowed to sell their existing inventory as long as they did not produce any more. And again, initial print run was tabbed at 10,000 sets. A second set was made from the negatives without permission, and it's unknown how many were printed. It contains a Nolan Ryan error card with his name spelled Noland, Noland. Unclear how many total sets were made to the public. I know the set I have has the regular Nolan Ryan card spelled correctly. In fact, it says Nolan Ryan, and you'll see the back of the cards here in a second if you're watching on YouTube. I guess it's hard to tell which set's which, so who knows what's going on. I just know that I have that Nolan Ryan with his correct spelling, so I probably have a legit set. There was a letter that went out to the public or to subscribers, I guess, to Collectors Quarterly, and this is from Michael Arenstein. So it says, Dear baseball fan, we are happy to report that the lawsuit has been resolved. Enclosed, you will find your set of 1976 SSPC cards that you have waited so long to get. These cards are being shipped to you by Renato Galasso Incorporated. This company is doing the sorting and mailing of the cards for us. If you wish to purchase any additional sets, you may do so by consulting the enclosed flyer and ordering directly from Renato Galasso Incorporated. Thank you for your support during the time it took to end the lawsuit. Sincerely, Michael P. Arenstein, President. Yeah, pretty cool there, right? So there's some legalese there. Renato Galasso, famous for being a set builder in the 70s, female, I believe, in Brooklyn or Queens, somewhere in there. Also famous for reprinting a lot of stuff. I think I have some T206 reprints from Renato Galasso and other ephemera as well. All right. So back to the set. 630 cards, 631 if you count the Fugazi and Nolan Ryan. Distribution between teams was not quite equitable. I can go over some things here. Cincinnati had 25 cards. Houston, meanwhile, had 19. I want to say the most might have been Montreal with 29 cards. So the fewest was probably Houston and California with 19 each. I lied to you. New York Yankees had 31 cards. So anywhere between 19 and 31 cards were issued per team. There's some other random miscellaneous players, which will also adds to the team sets as well, and a heavy dose of coaches and managers. This set is also famous for bringing back the manager cards that kind of went away. Full on portrait manager cards that were kind of being phased out, and by the late 70s, it'd be a picture in the corner of the team card. So full on portrait, no, not having to share it with coaches or anything, but there were some coaches added in. There's a couple players here. I didn't count how many there were, but this is what's kind of weird about this set, or one of the things that's weird about the set, even though it says copyright 1975, the way the set is laid out indicates that some of the late December 1975 trades were accounted for in the set that would be printed. So I'm talking about like third, fourth week of December here, some trades were made. And even though the player was portrayed in their previous uniform and with their previous team set, because the sets won in order, say like Atlanta was 1 through 21 and Cincinnati Reds were 22 through 46, right? So even though that a player would show up, say in the Atlanta portion of the set, the back of the card would have their new team name on them. So boy, that makes it difficult for sorting. Makes it confusing when it says Joe Schmo in an Atlanta Braves uniform on the front, but has him in a Boston Red Sox team name on the back. So another one of those idiosyncrasies of this set. Kind of strange. It features a lot of up and coming players before they would have gotten their Topps cards, such as Gary Renicky, Jim Kern, Jim Essien, Bob McClure, Dave Bergman, and Rick Cerrone. So kind of on the forefront. I don't know why, because I guess they weren't putting out league leader cards and consolidated rookie cards, so that's probably why a lot of these players were able to stand on their own. I'm going to go over kind of the design here, front and back. I brought up on my YouTube page, if you're watching, card number 1 and card number 630. Card number 1 is Buzz Capra, and card number 630 is James Harrison Reese. So Jim Reese, coach of the Angels. So the front of the card again looks a lot like the Bowman 53 set with modern photography. There's really no color correction, any of this stuff too. I guess it was just best available photographer, best available picture, I suppose, and best available light. Back of the card has upper left has a kind of a circle, a lettered circle. The top part has the team, city or town, and the bottom part of the circle has Angels, so California Angels. And in the middle of that circle is not the card number, but it is the uniform number. So this, again, is a sorting person's nightmare, because the team name can be different than the team depicted on the front of the uniform. The most prominent number on this card is the player's uniform number, or manager or coach's uniform number. So you could sort by team and still get it wrong. You could sort by a player number and really get it wrong. To the right of that has the position. For example, Jimmy Reese has coach. He's 6 foot, 170 pounds. Next line down is his height. His birth date. And the next line down from that is his batting and throwing preferences. Full given name in prominent letters, probably around the 2/3 mark of the card. This is a portrait card. It's not a horizontal card, so I'll get to that too in a second. So James Harrison Reese, and then there's a blurb about him, and below that blurb in bold, bottom left, is the word card, followed by the pound sign for number, and in Jimmy Reese's case, 630. So he's card number 630. And to the right of that is the SSP 1975 copyright. Again, 1975. Set came out in 1976. A lot of the information was updated in late 1975, probably most likely 1976. And only on the back of the Jimmy Reese card, it says backs edited by Keith Olbermann. So that is the only card that text appears on. Let's go back to the backs here a little bit more. The backs are, the backs are interesting in their own right. The backs feature 6 colors, okay? So there is a purple, a green, a black, a navy blue, a brown, and a what I guess is red, although I have kind of 2 blues. There's kind of a dark blue. I have a dark blue, and I have a light blue. So this is how I broke it down. So cards 1 through 90 are black. Cards 91 through 135 are green. 136 through 180 are navy. 181 through 225 are green. 226 through 270 are navy again. 271 through 360 are brown. 361 through 450 are purple. 451 through 540 are orange. And 541 through 630 are blue-backed cards. The 541 through 630 on mine are the lighter blue cards. I can show you the difference if you're watching at YouTube. Maybe if I get rid of this big thing in the middle. So there's a difference between dark and light blue. Real simple stuff here. This was not printed on cardboard stock. This was printed on paper stock. So the backs are white with those colors that I describe. Thinner stock. Definitely thin postcard type stock. 46 years old, and mine seem to be holding up okay right now. So not doing too bad on that. Let's see here. So I mentioned that there's no logos or team names on the front. There's no logos or team names on the back. Again, these are unlicensed products. And part of this, unlicensed product. And I guess that's part of the beauty and clarity of the set, is there isn't a lot to booger it all up. Checklists. We can talk about checklists here in a second. So the checklists are pretty fascinating, if you ask me. And you didn't ask me, but they're pretty fascinating. So I counted 7 checklists, and really it's a bunch of goats on there, right? So there's first of all their multiplayer cards are the only multiplayer cards of the set, or at least overt ones. And the back of the checklist isn't really a checklist; it's just an itemized, number and player's last name. So there's no real back then. Remember, we used to fill the boxes in with a pen. You don't do that here. And also on the back of the checklist has a kind of an ad in very very generic type, asking you to subscribe to Collectors Quarterly, which is at 102 Ringgold Street in Peekskill, New York, 10566. Maybe you do a little TTM to that address if you want. Full color card, insert, stories, photos, articles, puzzles, ads, $4 a year and $1.50 per issue. So I'm assuming that there's 4 issues a year. And if you were to buy them a la carte, they would be $1.50 as opposed to $1 for the subscription. So that's that would be the back of the checklist. Now the front, really cool stuff. There is a multiplayer cards. One of them has Catfish Hunter and Nolan Ryan. He's clearly mentioned as Catfish. There's another one with Lou Brock and a young Keith Hernandez. Mustacheless, that would be card number 590. 593 is Catfish and Nolan Ryan. 592 features Maury Wills dressed in an overcoat and a gentleman named John Knox from the Detroit Tigers. Maury Wills looking pretty fly, mid-70s there, a trench coat, full fro, looking good, buddy. 595 has Willie Mays and Herb Score kind of having hey girl time there at Shea Stadium. What I find interesting about that card is it features an American leaguer and a national leaguer. So I wonder what the deal is with that, where it was taken. That might have been taken in spring training, perhaps. Willie Mays, I believe, was a coach back then. 594, Carl Erskine, Ralph Branca, and Pee Wee Reese are pictured in a dugout wearing Dodgers, their Dodgers jerseys. Uniforms, hats, all that stuff. 591 is Jerry Kuzman and Duke Snyder. Duke, pretty, I guess he let a subscription to Just for Men go unfulfilled because he's got some white hair there. And then I guess the head scratcher, the whole set here. Card 589 features a very young George Brett and Al Cowens. George Brett looks like Al Hrabosky. Mustache and all, angry face. Al Cowens is kind of laughing at the whole thing. So very early George Brett card, taken in the 1975 season, obviously at Shea, and very interesting pose on his part. Not quite sure what was going on. He may or may not regret that, but who knows. Let's talk about some fun cards here, okay? Some of the fun cards and some of the idiosyncrasies. Again, I keep using that word, but it's true. There's a lot of crazy stuff that went on in the set. The Bill Buckner card number 91, is the only, as far as I could tell, in action picture or photograph of the set. And when I say in action, I mean he's at plate in a game situation. There's a couple poses around the batting cage, as happened, but this looks like real game time action here. Bill Buckner for the Dodgers playing at Shea Stadium. Of course, 526, you have Oscar Gamble. No recap would be complete without the obligatory Oscar Gamble Afro shot. Looking great, Oscar. Love it, love it, love it. Dressed in that wonderful, wonderful Barney jersey that Cleveland wore. Every Cleveland player is featured in their Barney jersey. I guess they caught them all at that time wearing that road uni at Shea Stadium. Sun looks like it's going down behind Oscar, but Oscar obviously is bright enough to negate any kind of natural darkness. There is a Felix Mian card Felix is getting interviewed with a microphone in his hand at Full Daylight Shea Stadium, pre or post game interview. Not sure what. 337 is a Jim Lytle card. Jim Lytle plays for the Montreal Expos at the time, and he's kind of the Triple Crown there, right? He's got glasses, he's got chewing tobacco, and he plays for the only Canadian team at the time. And what's interesting about this shot is it's full night. There's nothing back there but pure black behind him. So obviously stadium light was one thing, but the photography back then, kind of hard to gauge, especially if you were a former bat boy who was just let on the field to take some pictures. So you don't see a lot of night shots in any baseball set anywhere, and this is definitely an interesting picture. All right, so card number 59 features the Tequila Sunrise Houston Astros uniform as modeled by Doug Rader. Doug Rader is choked up halfway on the bat, has kind of a here's Johnny look about him from The Shining. But what is even more fascinating about this card is it is the only landscape card, player card on this set. Now, if I go back to the checklist, you can see those, most 4 out of 7 are landscaped. And another thing I didn't point out was the checklist cards are the only ones that have people's players' names, players/coaches' names actually on the front of the card. So back to Doug Rader, the only non-checklist card that is in a landscape fashion. So we have him doing that. We have Bill Buckner at the plate. Two anomalies in this set. Card 226 is Jim Colburn from the old Milwaukee Brewers. Another nighttime shot. Pretty scary shot. Looks like one of those pictures. If the last face you see when the trunk closes with you inside of it. Big Fu Manchu, or not Fu Manchu, but handlebar mustache. Got a little bit of a ginger thing going there. Taken at night, deer in the headlights, maybe. Who knows? We got ourselves a Woody Fryman spotting at card number, I think, 345. Woody Fryman is sitting on a flatbed cart with his glove right on the dashboard in front of him and a beautiful headlight staring at us. The headlight is turned off, but Woody's kind of in his satin Expos jacket in the cart, ready to get out of there, I'm sure. Joe Horner is card number 456, and Joe Horner's wearing the beautiful powder blue Philadelphia Phillies road uniforms and a big old floppy hat a la Bryce Harper 2021, the MVP of the National League. So, boy, what a foreshadowing to what would happen years later in South Philly with, with that big floppy hat. So that's that. Now let's get back to something here that this set is very uniquely known for, and that is we got some players here that never appeared on a Topps card. I'm going to name them out here because I think that they deserve that, and be cool for them to get a little recognition. So Greg Terlecki, Tom Bianco, and Lafayette Currents. That's your top row there from the St. Louis Cardinals, the Milwaukee Brewers, and another Milwaukee Brewers. And then on the bottom row from the Orioles, we have Ron Dunn. From the Mets, we have Jerry Cram. And from the Chicago Cubs, we have Jim Hutto. So 6 players that, from what I gathered from the internet and those sources I listed before, never had a Topps card. So there we go. Shout out to you guys for making the SSPC set in 1975-ish or 1976, depending on your preference. A couple old timers there saying goodbye in 76. Henry Louis Aaron, the greatest hitter of my lifetime, as I always say. Actually, I like that card much better than I like his Topps card from 1976. He's in his full Brewers powder blues, got his warm-up jacket on, and the Brewers helmet that kind of you can envision George Scott wearing. Shea Stadium, batting cage, pitching net and behind him, kind of cool. And the other guy, Harmon Killebrew, who I just taped an episode with John Newman, and I kind of disrespected Harmon Killebrew perhaps a little bit. He was kind of a one-trick pony with the home runs, but anyway, he was so good for so long. And my theory, as I explained on that on John's show, was that Harmon was a bonus baby. Spent maybe 4 years on the bench in Washington when he should have been in the minors, probably honing his skills as a hitter. So darn shame that happened. Here we have him pictured in the 76 set as a Kansas City Royal, which no one wanted to see, I'm sure. And man, I tell you, Harmon looks like he is playing in an old timers game. Man, age really caught up with him, and I mean no disrespect, but he does not look like you look at that 55 Topps card, and man, what a fresh faced kid he looked like. And then 20-ish years later, he looks like he's old timers day. So that's that. That's a couple cards there. Let's talk about the logistics of this set, meaning what it's worth and all that stuff. So per Beckett, $40 to $80 for a complete set. I can tell you from my trying to get this set, it's going to cost you more than that. This is what they have as their current listed price. 40 excellent, 80 near mint. Going to cost you more than that, guarantee you. I bid on a lot of them over the last couple of weeks, and this is not where I came in. Mine came in at about $1.25, I think, plus shipping, so $1.35. So $80 is a unicorn. Commons go for 8 cents to 20 cents. Minor stars, same thing. Semi-stars, same thing. Unlisted stars, 12 cents to 30 cents. Talk about the top value cards here, okay? Of course, Nolan Ryan in his California Angels, that'll cost you $10 to $25. George Brett, $8 to $20, and that's the normal George Brett, not the Al Hrabosky George Brett card. Card number 167 there. Michael Jack Schmidt, greatest third baseman of all time. That'll run you $6 to $15. The Nolan Ryan Era card is a $6 to $15 card as well. The regular card, I think, is in the $8 range, so $4 to $8 or whatever for the regular Nolan Ryan Catfish Hunter card. Dave Winfield making an early appearance. Great shot of him. $5 to $12. Robin Yount, another young card, $5 to $12. Dennis Eckersley, again, $5 to $12. So and then Hank Aaron's SSPC card, $4 to $10. So Brett, Winfield, Yount, and Eckersley are four of the guys in that mid-70s, 74, 75, and 76 that never appeared on a multiplayer rookie card. So obviously their earlier cards command a premium. So that's that. That's my quick run around SSPC. I will tell you that that lawsuit that I tried to find more information on really paved the way for the Don Ross and Fleer sets of 1981. So I think it's safe to presume that without the challenge from SSPC, we would not have had what we ended up with in the early 80s with Don Ross and Fleer. And TCMA kept making their sets, doing what they were doing, but they kind of stayed out of, obviously by agreement, stayed out of this whole thing. Mike Stein had a very illustrious life as a hobbyist, and it's not talked about a lot, but was there from the beginning almost, and had a hand in what Don Ross did, I think, in 1981. So maybe that is why the Don Ross is printed on the paper stock and not cardboard stock like the Topps cards were. So that's that. Man, thank you for joining me. Like I said, I was a little worried about this episode because there's a lot of, it's a bit of a tangled web. Legal wise, history wise, I don't know the players personally, but pretty fascinating. Great looking set, fun to look at, fun to possess. I'm happy to have it in my complete set in my collection now. I had about 40 or 50 cards prior to this week, but the set rolled in on Saturday or Friday, and pretty happy to have the whole thing here now. It's a chunk of history, right? It's the biggest non-top set, and it's the set that challenged Topps hold on mass-produced baseball card sets that were not food issues. So again, thanks for humoring me and listening and watching. And if you need to reach out to me, of course, my name is John Keating. At 70s Card Show at gmail.com, Twitter at 70s Card, that 70s Card Show on YouTube. And thanks again, everybody. Have a great week. Have a great Thanksgiving. And enjoy your loved ones. Okay, put the cards down maybe for a couple hours and enjoy the camaraderie of family and friends, and be safe. Okay, so enjoy collecting, and more importantly, enjoy your collection. Be safe.